This is 3.3 example 2. It says find the missing values in each ratio table, then write the equivalent ratios. All right, so we're talking about dollars to cents here on letter A. For every $1, there's 100 cents. Okay, and that's a good real life problem. We can probably figure this out without even doing the steps, but we want to make sure we know how to do these steps. So how do we get from 100 to 300? Well, we multiply by 3. Whenever we do equivalent ratios, it's similar to equivalent fractions where we do have to multiply both numbers by the same value. So if we do 100 times 3 to get 300, we have to do 1 times 3 to get 3. And that makes sense. If $1 is 100 cents, then $3 would be 300 cents. Now, how do I get from 300 to 900? Right, I multiply by 3. Okay, that means I need to multiply by 3 up here. And I'm going to get 9. Now, here's where we probably get stuck. Well, it says 1398. Okay, that's not a mistake. What that means is we have to figure out now, how do we get from 9 to 8? Well, there's multiple ways of thinking of this. In the curriculum, what they teach is that to get from 9 to 8, what you're doing is you're subtracting 1. But remember, we can't just subtract things from both sides. What they really mean by subtracting 1 is they're subtracting, let me highlight this, they're subtracting one of these values. So what is that 1 really worth in cents? So for every 1 we add or subtract, we're either adding or taking away 100, right? So if I take away 1 up here, I'm really taking away 100 down here. So this would end up being 800. Okay, if you want to think of it in a different way, for every $1, there's 100 cents. So if this is like the simplified version, because I can't simplify this anymore. So if I wanted to go back to this 1 and go, okay, how could I get to 8 through multiplication? I could times it by 8. And then if I took the 100 and multiplied it by 8, then I would get to 800. So you can think of it as either way, whichever one works for you. The second one, B, is meters to minutes. So for every 3 meters, something takes 1 minute. So how do I get from 1 to 2? Well, I multiplied by 2. So I'm going to multiply the top value by 2 and get 6. Now, how did I get from 6 to 2? Okay, well, I divided by 3. We know we can also use division when we are talking about equivalent ratios. So I divided by 3. So what happens if I do 2 divided by 3? Well, it's a lot simpler than you think. We know that we write division as fractions, right? So 2 over 3 is the same as 2 divided by 3. Now, how do I get from 2/3 to 5/3? Well, if we think about it here, I'm adding 1, right? I'm adding 3 over 3, which is the same as 1. So again, what we're doing with very similar to what we just did. For every 1 minute, it's 3 meters. So if I added 1 up here, I'm really adding 3, right? Because for every 1 minute, I'm adding 3 meters. So if I add 3 right here, I'm going to end up with 5. So we are going to use a mix of operations. You can see I used division, I used multiplication, I used addition. So go ahead and try the problems below. And then if you have any questions, make sure you reach out and come to the Zooms.